Hey folks, I know that this can be a lot to process and that we're still getting used to the kind of the routines of class, whether we're in person or we're online. So you guys have been doing a really good job. You've been really trying hard, and my rationale for doing things the way that I do is I feel that this is kind of the simplest way possible. Hopefully, yesterday was a good day for you to get caught up and that you showed me your completed or created social studies file within your Google Drive so that it'll be easier for you to organize things. Moving on now, think back to last year. When we studied culture, whether it was with me or with Miss Schaefer, what did you learn as far as different elements of culture? Do you remember what those were? Think about that for a second. Wonder how many there were to begin with. Does anybody remember what they were? I encourage you to pause this and to try and reflect on it. If you don't know, it's okay. I would like you to use the handouts below to figure out what those are. What you're going to do for today is revisit those elements of culture, but then you're almost going to take that big picture and you're actually going to simplify it and narrow it down to individual traits. So think like belief systems, how that could be related to religion, and then like an individual trait could be a church, maybe a worship book, maybe worship songs. That's all kind of what we're going to do today. We're going to take these big picture concepts and then we're going to simplify them and look at the individual traits that make them up. So that is what your main assignment is. And then I also want to point out what it said, what this handout right here, PEST, evidence of accomplishments. When I say PEST, I'm not meaning annoying, at least not this time. But when I say PEST in all capital letters, it's looking at four different types of accomplishments: a political accomplishment, economic, social, technological. Every civilization, every successful culture has all four of those. Some of them, though, are stronger than others, but every successful civilization has those four. And so I'm going to be referring to those as PEST: political, economic, social, technological. So just think about maybe in your daily life right now, where is there what is your strongest of those four? Is it political? Is it economic? Is it social? Is it technological? And I mean, which one kind of drives your daily life, which is also an element of culture. Here's the other thing with today's lesson, and when we're looking at culture, there is not one specific formula to go with it. Meaning, you have this category, you have kind of these little subcategories, and then you have these little individual traits that go with it. In another category, you could very well have some of the same traits. That's okay. The biggest challenge for you, and this is also what today's assignment is going to be, is how do they fit? You being able to explain how they fit. So, here's another thing to keep in mind while you're doing your assignments, as the fonts and the boxes can sometimes be a little disorganized, or at least they can. I want you to get the assignment done, but then you are welcome and actually encouraged to go back and play around with the fonts so that they fit into the size boxes that I provided you. And I'll give you those reminders in class, but those of you who are online, I'd like you to try and do that as best as you are able. Use your best judgment and try to make your work look as neat as possible. I understand digitally, though, that can be complicated. So let's work together, and remember that if I can't read everything in kind of a coherent way, then I have a really hard time grading it. So just keep that part in mind. And again, I know you guys have been working really, really hard, and I'm really, really grateful for what you have done so far. And continuing to move forward, this is the best way that I see fit for you to get the most of your time in this class, but then also to not get overwhelmed and disorganized. So we're going to be following this routine as much as possible. Those of you who had me last year will be able to adapt to it a little bit more so than ones who did not, but it's a pretty simple routine to follow. I want to point out these tools that have been uploaded. Your categorizing assignment, which is, I believe, number 4 on your agenda, that is this one right here. The more correct word to use would have been categorization. However, I felt like being unique in that. So categorizing isn't necessarily a word, but at the same time, it just seemed to make sense to me at the time. After you have done your warm up and your notes using this slideshow right here, these notes and these different categories, you need to make sure you transfer those to your notes before you do this assignment. This slide right here is also available in the class slides that I have pointed out a few times, so I'll get back to that one later. But if you guys look, you'll see something familiar. On the categorizing assignment, though, this is kind of a simple way of breaking things down, but this is not the only way. As you can see, technology, I have that in the center because I could see that connected to pretty much every single one of these. Similar with artistic expression, I could easily put that one in the center as well. So again, culture, as I teach it to you and as you learn it, there are a couple of basic pieces to culture that you need to know, but then how you interpret it, as well as how and what it means to you, that is on you. So this is kind of what today's assignment is around. You get the opportunity to take the traits that you have taken your notes on. So like material, for instance, think about the top 5 off of this list. And then you would go to the material box. I'm actually going to zoom in for a sec because it's a little more difficult to see. Think about going down to the material box and which ones are most important to you. I'd probably say food for me, but then maybe clothing. Again, this is for you to do. And then after you have completed, as the instructions say, do at least 5 traits for each category or each box. So 10 total boxes, 5 different traits. That is a total of 50. And check this out, folks. Whoops. Ha! You are allowed to have repeat traits in many categories, but I challenge you to expand and deepen your understanding. Meaning, if you see some traits on this slide that you feel, so housing and shelter, that could possibly go for materials, but maybe that could go for economic activity. Because think about it, jobs. Some people take care of houses and shelters for a living. You could also say technology. Maybe you are in a brand new house. Maybe you're in a brand new apartment. Or think about this, the exact opposite. Maybe yours is older, but has been updated. Or it's older and out of date, but yet you still are able to have success in your daily life. So do you guys see how culture has a couple of elements that are non-negotiable, or that they don't change, but at the same time how you interpret them, there's a lot of freedom with it. The biggest thing is as long as you can explain that, and that's what this page goes to. I'm going to go here, fit the page, and I'm actually going to go like this. For each box, these are each of the categories. So take what you did with those boxes on the previous page and then write down reasons for the traits that you chose. So be specific, and like this is for you to kind of reflect a little bit. And then you can take it a step further. What does this look like in your daily life, or your actual life? Now, here's the thing to keep in mind too. If it's too personal, you can choose to skip it. That's okay. So I am going to be looking though and seeing how you can take this information, how you can make sense of it, but then how you can apply it to your personal life. Okay? Because you are a person of a civilization and you are somebody who have your own culture. With this assignment, with the categorizing assignment, I will allow you to work with one other person. You and that person, though, must still keep the social distance norms in place. But at the same time, because we have technology available, I'm kind of curious to see how it'll work. Some of you may choose to work independently. Some of you may choose to work only with somebody who's in your cohort. Some of you, though, might choose to work with somebody who's not in your cohort, but you know is in this class. I could possibly help you with that, but at the same time, you're going to have to communicate that with me. But if you can make it work, that's really cool, because the thing that I love about Google Docs and Google Slides and all that is it's easy for two people or multiple people to work on a document at once. So again, you though have to make it happen. And as per usual, folks, you have this day, and then I believe you'll have close to 48 hours before this is due. Your due date for most assignments is going to be Thursday by midnight. Um, and right now, again, there's still some flexibility with turning things in a little bit late. I'm looking mostly for quality and for you guys to give me that attempt. So if it's late, but it's still done with quality, and I'm still seeing a good level of productivity during class time, I can easily let something late not be penalized. If I see, after a while, if I start to see that this is a habit that is kind of becoming the norm, then that's when I start to put the penalty in. So give me some quality, get the work done, try to be as close to the deadline as possible, and let me know how I can help you. Understand that this is a lot, and I thank you for your attention.